People who attended their high school reunion. What was the biggest surprise? A guy had cancer and attended. He looked to be 80 years old but was in his late 20s. Cancer really took a toll on him. Sad. The biggest surprise anytime I catch up with people I grew up with is finding out their career. Most of us have pretty unremarkable jobs, but some that stood out. The guy who got arrested for underage drinking 3 times is now a cop. The girl who couldn't form a coherent sentence is now a teacher. The super genius is living in poverty because he decided to move to Costa Rica to save the rainforest. The bad kid joined the army and now runs a small business and is doing very well for himself. The golden child is now in prison for sexual assault. The weirdo became a DJ and does shows at nightclubs. The nerdy D&D kid now owns and operates an outdoor shooting range and is one of the largest ammunition suppliers in the area. Back in high school, there was one girl who was extremely popular, extremely pretty, and seemed totally unapproachable from my vantage point. She was also really catty, embodying a lot of the mean girl stereotypes. Talking with her at the reunion, it turned out that she was very insecure and had a very tenuous home life for which she was compensating, and now she is extremely kind, full of gratitude, and just really down to earth. I love seeing that sort of change in people. The last I ever heard of my high school reunion was in an alumni newsletter. I was listed as missing, with a request for anyone who knew how to contact me to contact the alumni organization. The newsletter was sent to my house. I'm trying not to take it personally. It was disturbing that 17 classmates had died by our 10th reunion. My 10-year reunion was held at a bar. It was all the same people at the bar as it was every weekend. But this time they were wearing nicer clothes. Recently went to my 40th. A bunch of old people showed up. The reunion itself. My wife was down in the state south of us for training and got into an accident. I went down and got things sorted with her so she was good and went back to what she was doing, and I drove back north. It was a Friday and I was driving through my hometown and figured I would take my mother out to a restaurant we used to both really like going to. As we were eating, an old friend from high school walked through, waved and headed into the back. Then another, and another, and another. Just as I was about to get up and go see what was going on, an old girlfriend and later good friend walked in, saw me and came up to talk for a bit. Then she asked if we should head back there, which confused me. Turns out I made it to the 10th year reunion for my class without knowing that I was at the 10th year reunion for my class. I finished my dinner with my mom, let her take my car home. I would catch a ride, and had a good night at the reunion. I didn't know to expect. Real estate agents. So many real estate agents. The only high school reunion I attended was my 50th. I was surprised that people remembered things I'd done with amazing detail specificity. At some point of our 10Y reunion, I asked the girl I had a crush on back in 7/8 grade if she knew that I had a crush on her. I just thought it was fun talking about that as adults. Turns out she texted me several times the next days. We met again and now, almost 6 YS later, we're engaged. For 2 YS. But didn't marry yet. We have a house, a child, second child on the way, and everything is great. Not what I expected back then. The massive stoner from the year below me who used to get suspended on a monthly basis was the head of the English department. At the 10-year, one guy who had been a kind of nerd and on the bowling team was now part of a wacky morning DJ crew on one of the more popular radio stations in New York City. and came in with big hair and dressed like a rock star. The only real surprise was just how wrong we were about how people would turn out. The Ivy League-bound people you were sure would be CEOs one day ended up dropping out of college, having normal middle-class lives, jobs, and marriages, and just being happy as average. The people you were sure would end up like Wooderson from school days turned out to get master's degrees and even PhDs in one case, and now work in either government or aerospace. The guy who fought to get into West Point ended up doing his required 4 years and then leaving the armed services. One guy ended up becoming a semi-successful author, and nobody saw that coming. 2 committed suicide, and many asked why. He seemed to have everything going for him. Quote, the girl who got pregnant at 16, who you were sure was destined for a life of struggle, ended up landing a great career and retiring early. And her kids turned out to be great people who any parent would be proud of. The people you were sure would never lose contact with their friend group vanished as if they never existed. The people who had to ask yourself, I don't recall that name at all. Did they graduate in my class? Are now friends with 75% of the class on Facebook. And active. The athletes, boys and girls, are now anything but athletes. Overweight and frumpy. The frumpy-dumpy ones now are rock climbers and hike the entirety of the Appalachian Trail. It just goes to show, who you are on graduation day is absolutely not who you will become in 3, 5, 10, or 30 years. The future is yet unwritten, and the only thing stopping you from change is yourself. Edit. Thanks for the award. How incredibly differently have people aged. We were supposed to have it last summer. I guess they forgot or I wasn't invited. That was surprising because the student government was on top of everything during high school. Edit. Looked on Facebook and saw there was a private group for the reunion created a year ago. Less than half of the class was even in the group. 20-year reunion. How many people seemed like they wanted to get to know me better in high school? When I was in high school, I felt like a total social pariah and I would only approach people I thought were also at the bottom of the social food chain. It turns out, a lot of pretty cool people would have likely been my friends if I had given them a chance and been more open to it. Many people mentioned that they thought about being friends or better friends with me but weren't quite sure why it didn't happen. Also, at the reunion, I was much more extroverted and confident and I realized a lot of the people I thought were popular snobs were very cool people. Back in high school, it's not like those folks were begging me to hang out and I said no. But I was definitely defensive because I didn't want to get rejected. This means that I might have missed out on having not only more friends, but better ones because picking from the lowest rung of the ladder often meant I was dealing with people who had a lot of emotional problems. My 7th grade crush, the smartest girl in class, was still single, and when I asked her what she likes to do for fun in Chicago, she said, party. We were 48 years old. The people who made fun of me for my weight were now fat, divorced, and barely making it. I lost weight in college, got married to a wonderful man, and have great kids. And in the end they thought they were still better than me. I guess I found irony. Everyone looked old. Then I realized I was old.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.